So let's begin now the 4000 series 4400 4410. 4400 is regarding engagements to perform agreed upon procedures regarding financial information. Suppose if you recollect 3402 standard, I told this point. If at all you are exclusively appointed to review controls and give a report to them, where user entity, all that discussion and all is not there. I told that's an agreed upon procedure. But does it apply? That agreed upon procedure, is it covered under 4400 means? No. Because 4400 is dealing only with agreed upon procedures relating to financial information. What about agreed upon procedure I am performing not related to financial information? There is no standard that is addressing. No standard which is addressing that. Why? One of the reason could be because there is no third party which is involved. There is generally no third parties involved, or probably they would have not felt necessity to include a standard on that. So that could be the reason. Even if at all we are called for to review only controls, we are called to review only controls, it is also treated as agreed upon procedure only, because we both agree upon certain procedure that I need to perform. Agreed upon procedure means the auditor, nothing but the practitioner. In the standard we have to use the word practitioner, because we are not auditing anything. We have to use the word practitioner. So in an agreed upon procedure, the practitioner and the management agrees upon something to be done. So that's an agreed upon procedure. There is and this is a related service where we don't give any assurance. We don't provide any assurance, and it is a related service. And there is another one where we don't provide any assurance. We just assist the management. We just assist the management in accounting and financial reporting process. We assist the management in accounting and financial reporting process in some other engagement, and that engagement is called as compilation. Compilation means preparing. You see, you have a compilers, question marks, compilers. Compiler means what? A compilation means combining everything at one place. Preparation of some information is called as compilation. So that engagement is called as what? Compilation. For example, there are many public limited entities or big private limited entities. They know how to do business. They don't know how to prepare financial statements as per applicable financial reporting framework. They are not aware of all that. They generally reach to experts like you, who are chartered accountants, who know how to prepare the financial statements. You have to assist the management in compiling the financial statements. And now, when you're assisting the management in compiling the financial statements, can you audit the same financial statements? No. Self-review threat. What is it? Self-review threat. So you are not supposed to do audit of the same financials which you compiled. Getting it? Fine. So let's begin that. And by the way, whether it is an agreed upon procedure or a compilation engagement, both are non-assurance engagements. Both are non-assurance engagements. So what is an agreed upon procedure objective? The objective is to carry out the procedure. Something like audit. Like you verify there also. But you don't have to give any conclusion. You don't have to give any opinion. You don't have to give any report that is used by third party. Your report is only used by the management, where you just report factual findings. Where you just report factual findings. Suppose a company asked you, sir, please come. Do get external confirmations from debtors. Wherever external confirmations are not conforming with our books balances, prepare a list of that exceptions report and give a report. You just have to find the fact and then report it. The fact finding job, agreed upon procedure, is a fact finding job. Even investigation word, you know, audit is not an investigation. Audit covers whole financial statements. Investigation only covers only few elements. If at all a client called me to discover a fraud related to some investigation, fraud investigation, he called me to discover some trade receivables fraud, and I have to investigate and give a report, that might come under 4400, Because here also your objective is what? Fact finding. In investigation also your objective is what? Fact finding. Remember, investigation is a general term, not a standard term. It's a general term. You call it as investigation. Standard calls it as agreed upon procedure, where you are performing a procedure as agreed with the management and reporting a fact. Whatever findings are there, you are just reporting. So investigation works, forensic accounting works, they all come, there is a possibility that all of them come within the definition of agreed upon procedures. This is highly debatable. So don't go in depth. This is enough. Now, so what is the difference between audit and agreed upon procedure? In audit, now we express opinion, whereas in agreed upon procedure, we just report factual findings. Here we don't give any assurance. And in an agreed upon procedure, we evaluate validity of accounts payable. For example, an agreed upon procedure for accounts payable consists of what? Comparing names of the suppliers and amounts outstanding, getting suppliers statements and confirmations and comparing with our books of accounts, comparison of these statements to trial balance. If there is a variation in balances, the findings will be reported without providing an assurance. We just report the findings. We don't give any assurance on that. Yeah. So what are the general principles of agreed upon procedure? Are there any ethical principles applicable? Yes. Most important thing is competence is there. You must be competent to perform any procedure. Competence. But by nature, since they are non-assurance, independence may not be a paramount requirement. Independence may not be a huge requirement in case of agreed upon procedure, because you're not giving any assurance. You're not giving any conclusion. You're not giving any opinion. You're just doing a fact-finding job. Independence may not be required, but remaining elements, confidentiality and competence, due care, professional behavior, skepticism, all this should apply. Yes or no? So these are the principles that are governing agreed upon procedure. This itself can be asked as a 4 marks question, or they may ask you how agreed upon procedure is different from audit. Give an example of agreed upon procedure. This itself can be asked as a 4 marks question. Are you getting it? Next. What are the general principles of agreed upon procedures? You have to comply with ethical requirements like integrity, objectivity, professional competence, all that. However, independence is not a requirement. Auditor may have to comply with independence if at all the client is asking. If there is a requirement in that scenario, then you have to be independent. By default, independence is not a main requirement in agreed upon procedure, because assurance is not involved. Because you are not providing assurance. Then you need to establish terms of the engagement. The auditor should ensure with the entity that there is a clear understanding regarding what procedures you need to perform. And it is at the interest of both. An engagement letter must be documented containing key terms and conditions. An engagement letter confirms auditor's acceptance of engagement, avoids misunderstanding. So engagement letter shall include listing of the procedures to be performed. A statement that distribution of the report would be restricted to specific people. It is not a public document. They may ask you, write about agreeing to terms of an engagement in an agreed upon procedure. What are the specific points auditor shall include or a practitioner shall include in that engagement letter? In the engagement letter specifically you must include what are the procedures that you have to perform. 2, you have to specifically mention that this report that you are going to give is not available for public. It is only restricted for specific users. Such a kind of condition should be emphasized in the engagement letter. What matters you have to agree? In an agreed upon procedures, what are the matters you have to agree? What is the nature of engagement? Verification of trade payables, or trade receivables, or stock, what exactly? What is the purpose? Why? For whom this report is going to be useful? Identification of financial information. So what is that information exactly you are verifying? Nature, timing and extent of procedures to be applied. How many days they were given to you? What nature of procedures? Like company might tell you, sir, you cannot talk to the people. We have records. Inspection you can do. Inquiry you can only do with this. With these people only you can inquire. Remaining, just like auditor, you can't have access to all the information, no. You have only limited access. You need to ask them what nature of procedures you have to perform, to what extent you have to perform, how many days you have to perform, and limitations on distribution of factual finding. When such a limitation is conflicting the legal requirements, auditor would not accept the engagement. If there is a legal requirement conflict, don't accept that. Not just in this, in any way, if there is a legal requirement and if there is a conflict with the legal requirement about the proposed assignment, we generally don't accept. They may ask you, what are the matters to be agreed in an engagement to perform agreed upon procedures in relation to financial information? They'll ask you this question. What are the matters to be agreed? You need to write this answer. 4 marks question. Are you clear? Then how to plan and perform this? Auditor has to plan how to perform this agreed upon procedure. Then perform it. Why are you performing? You need to get evidence. You need to maintain documentation. And you need to report the factual finding. Now, for the factual finding, you need to have evidence, right? So what are all procedures you will perform? I'll talk to people, I'll analyze data, I'll recompute, I'll observe what they're doing, I'll inspect documentation, I will get confirmation depending upon the necessity. Whether I will do all of this or any one of this or a combination of this, that depends upon the work you are giving me. You are asking me to check trade receivable, external confirmation I'll do. You are asking me to check inventory. I will see GRN bills, e-way bills, all that I will see. It depends on the matter that we are addressing. And finally, documentation and reporting. So the report on agreed upon procedures need to describe the purpose and in sufficient detail so that user can understand what exact work you perform, how much you perform. The report should clearly mention that no audit and review is carried out. It is only about a factual finding. Like we have a report. You open SA 4400 original standard. At the end of that particular thing, you will find an illustration on the report. Agreed upon procedure report will be there. You just go through that. It will have some elements. There are some statements which auditor must tell. In case of agreed upon procedure, there are some facts which auditor must tell. What? A statement that the procedures were agreed upon with the recipient. A statement that engagement was performed as per related services. A statement that had auditor performed more procedures, some other matters might have came to the knowledge of the auditor, but since we didn't perform more procedures, as it is agreed upon procedure, whatever with management we agreed, that only will perform, not more than that. And a statement that report is restricted to so and so people only, and a statement that this is not audit or review, and hence no assurance is expressed. They'll give you this question. You are appointed to perform certain agreed upon procedures. You have completed the procedures. You are now at the stage of reporting the factual findings. So and so person is asking you to assist him to compile or to prepare the report on factual findings, the report on agreed upon procedures. What are the mandatory statements? What are the mandatory statements that are to be included in a report on agreed upon procedures? You need to include a statement that these are the procedures agreed with the recipient of the service client. You need to mention that these procedures are performed as per standards on related service. You should mention a statement that this is not an audit, this is not a review, no assurances involved. You should give a statement that if at all we perform more procedures, we would have identified more findings. And you should mention a statement that report is only for these parties, not available for distribution. This is something like 800 also we have seen. Restriction on distribution and usage, that point also will be there in the auditor's report. And finally, date, place, signature, clear, and documentation. Whatever procedures you perform, whatever evidences you gathered, whatever findings you made, whatever communications you made, document everything. Enough over the standard 4400. Easy, all of you. Next, then 4410.